Welcome to Sound and Fury. I am Eric Wilfred Watson.
And I'm Hugh Frank, and from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Today we're going to talk about a trilogy of Star Trek novels that I mentioned before. I was really excited because they were going to conclude the Star Trek literary universe and not do what Star Wars did and kind of leave the fans hanging. Now I have read all three of those books and we're going to talk about them.
And yes, the Star Wars fans were left hanging, but we were well hung.
So the three novels of the Coda Trilogy are Moments Asunder by Dayton Ward, The Ashes of Tomorrow by James Swallow, and Oblivion's Gate by David Mack. I was really excited when I found out those books existed, and then I read them. And spoilers, if you have not read those books and you intend to, and you want to be as pissed off about them as I am, go ahead and read those first before you listen to my review. And I say my review because he's never read the things and he's never going to.
No, I only read books that don't suck.
Merchandising!
But no, I wanted to like these books. The first book was excellent. I liked it. It was a good book. It was a fun read. But by the time the second book ended, I'm like, oh no, I think I know what's going to happen. And then when the third book happened and it did what I was afraid it was going to do, I was very angry. So I spent years reading these books. Hundreds of books have been published. Watch our Too Many Star Treks book video. This series ended by them basically killing everyone.
So this is it. We're all going to die.
Pretty much. It's dark, it's depressing, it's not optimistic, it's not very Star Trekky. If you want to read about your favorite characters getting disemboweled, dying horrible, horrible deaths without really any catharsis or happy ending, this is the trilogy of Star Trek novels for you.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like as if George R.R. Martin started writing for Star Trek.
Well, at least those would be good books.
Yeah, well, but these ones are finished.
That's a good point. No, the reason I don't like them is because the end of the third book ends with the entire literary universe being erased from existence. Now, I know why they had to do that, because it's always been the rule of Star Trek books that if it appears on screen and it contradicts the books, then the books go bye-bye. They're no longer canon. They're no longer considered.
Everything that has beginning has an end, Neo.
Yes. But now that they have Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Discovery, Strange New Worlds coming out, they have a whole shitload of books that are no longer what happens, because everything you see happening in Picard doesn't line up with what happened in the books.
So the books got voiced by their own Picard.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Pickard.
Mr. Pickard!
As it were. Quite rather.
But you don't read or watch Star Trek because you want to be depressed, and you don't look at Star Trek if you want to be sad. I mean, granted, there's sad things happen. Spock died, but he came back to life. But so he died. Data died. Main characters do die. Bad things do happen. People get killed. Kirk's son got killed. That was not really the happiest moment.
Sorry. It just pops out.
There's a Klingon that killed his son.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Lloyd. He traveled into the future to kill Kirk's son. Great Scott! But there's been other Star Trek episodes where they did similar things, like yesterday's Enterprise. They went back in time. They erased the existence of that timeline.
Get back in time.
There's an episode of Star Trek Voyager, in fact, the very last episode of Star Trek Voyager, where the series concludes with Janeway from the future erasing the timeline of the last 20 years to get Voyager home sooner. And that wipes out an entire timeline there. But to spend 20 plus years reading books and then guess what, these don't count, these don't matter anymore. And not only do they not matter, they're retroactively saying this universe never happened. They erased the universe through a story mechanism. So it literally is never a thing. And if you spend that much time reading it, and then they all don't exist anymore, it's like, why did I read that then?
Right. Do you know why the Star Wars universe had to rewrite everything?
Why?
I mean, besides the obvious, money. Yeah. Writers were having trouble writing dialogue for Chewbacca. And so they decided to kill him off. And they had Ari Salvatore do it. And so then they realized, oh, well, now we're going to have, now Disney buys out Star Wars and we're going to have a whole bunch of movies. Well, Chewbacca's the one character that can be in all the movies, right? Mm-hmm. He was Peter Mayhew. Now he's the big Swedish guy whose name I can't remember.
Wrong!
He's the one guy that can be the constant in all these movies besides C-3PO and R2-D2. And we got to write him back in, which means we got to blow up all this other stuff. So, but
not to mention J.J. Abrams didn't want to necessarily have to be stuck with the canon that was already established. He wanted to do his own
thing. But J.J. Abrams can. but the truth is that at least we meaning Star Wars fans, have Grand Admiral Thrawn back. There's rumors of Mara Jade. There's I'm trying to think of all the various people that come out of Legends that are these possibilities and stuff, because they didn't go back and delete all these books. At least they're taking the best ofs out of these and using them. So
yeah, well, in this case, they just don't exist anymore. And I was in the interviews, I forget which author said it of the three, but he was talking about he didn't want to do to Star Trek fans what happened to Star Wars fans, where everybody was just left hanging with no resolution. Well, I would rather have no resolution than they all die horribly and never existed in the first place.
You want a resolution? Well, they're all gonna die. Yeah. That reminds me of an episode of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, do tell.
Because humans say that. Yes. They say obvious things like, it is a nice day. You're very tall. And so this is it. We're going to die. But honestly, Douglas Adams, God rest his soul, he wrote 5 books in the Hitchhiker's Guide series, and the first 4 are great, and the fourth one, which is So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, Arthur Dent has met a woman named Fenchurch, and they fell madly in love, and they learned how to fly by throwing themselves at the ground and missing, and everything is like on this up note, and then he writes one more book, which is mostly harmless, and basically the same thing happens. He's like, well, I'm tired of writing, so I'm just going to end all of it, and the universe just ends and everything's over.
Very depressing.
It is, and then he died.
Now, I'm not against fictional characters dying. The reason a fictional character dies is how it impacts the characters that survive,
right,
and their legacy and what have you. And that's a good storytelling mechanism. What's the storytelling mechanism when everything dies and the universe completely gets destroyed?
Everything sucks. We're all going to die. We're all going to go to hell.
Well, you.
I'll save you a place by the fire.
Well, that's really all I have to say on the subject. I'm just going to pretend these last 3 Star Trek books didn't exist, and there's a lot of other Star Trek books coming out that I'm content to read. I'm just going to assume that this is a whole separate universe. It exists, and I can compartmentalize in my brain. There's a new Picard novel coming out. There's Star Trek novels in the TV series. There's a new Star Trek Next Generation novel takes place on the Enterprise D during the run of the show. There's a Deep Space Nine book coming out where Dax is the lead character. So there's still a lot of good stuff coming out to look forward to. I'm just going to pretend the Coda Trilogy doesn't exist.
So basically this is Star Trek, the Coda of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. It's almost as depressing as the ending of that Planet of the Apes movie. Where,
those damn dirty apes!
Where the movie, spoiler alert for Planet of the Apes.
They'll die.
Literally, they explode the entire Earth, and a voiceover's like, this planet is now dead. And that's the end of the movie.
In one of the countless billions of galaxies in the universe lies a medium-sized star, and one of its satellites, a green and insignificant planet, is now dead.
Well, for Star Trek is now dead.
It's dead,
Trekkies. Yeah.
I'm a doctor, a moon shuttle conductor.
Yeah, that's no moon.
That's a space station.
All right, well, after that depressing tirade, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a Trekkie about other things in the future.
Mr. Pickard.